Welcome to the broadcast. This is Dr. Kesha, and this is kind of bittersweet. I'm glad that we're having this conversation. We're about to have this conversation, and conversations are being had in regards to this situation and this circumstance. And you know what? I believe that, I'm a strong believer of all things working together for the good. So, and I'm sure that Monique is built for this, and she doesn't feel a way that her son decided to speak out, even though it may seem adversarial. But I think that it can create a dialogue, a much needed dialogue between the two, and also maybe bridge a gap. And also, they can get the support that they need for healing and reconciliation. So, if you haven't noticed the title by now, this particular video is about healing and reconciliation, and my prayer for Monique and her eldest son, Shalon. I didn't know his name prior to, so that's one good thing about this, is that everybody's putting a name to the face. I think we saw pictures of him while he was young. Now we're able to see him, fully maturate in terms of his physical and him becoming a full grown man. And so that's wonderful to see. And again, you see the resemblance there. I see Monique's eyes and his eyes, and the mere fact that he's interested in being a comedian. I'm sure that also came as an inspiration from his mom. And so he's well spoken and articulate, which means that he had a decent education, and also he has a very high intellect. So that's good to know. That's awesome. That's good to know. But clearly, right, there's some deficits there, and I think that we just need to be honest about this particular conversation. I don't think it's anything new. If we're honest, I think if we're all honest, I think we were raised differently. Some of us were raised in a helicopter home, helicopter moms. My children were raised by a helicopter mom, which was me. Me being there, trying to be there for everything that they have going on, trying to be there and support them in any way possible, making sacrifices if necessary to get what they need and beyond. You know what I mean? That helicopter style of parenting. But you have to also think about, well, what is the root, you know what I mean, of that helicopter mom? Could it be that I didn't have that growing up? Could it be that we were latchkey kids, and so we had to be alone oftentimes? And maybe when we did want our mom or dad, they weren't available. There was some deficits when I was growing up. And so instead of allowing I don't want to call it dysfunction, or just the way of life, and the way of living and being, growing up for me, I didn't want that to spill into, my rearing of my children. I wanted to do something different. So I made the sacrifices. I didn't necessarily have the resources, and then as my children got older, they complained because I didn't have the resources, at least one of them, because I didn't have the resources. And then as I began to continue on in my journey, I'm talking about me on my personal journey, and I began to learn about, love languages, and I began to learn about apology languages as I began to enter into the field of coaching and counseling. Then I began to get an understanding. Okay, I see now everybody is an individual, and we cannot do a one size fit all parenting style when it comes to our children. And old school parenting, old school schools of thought, that's what they used to do. You take this is what I'm going to give you. You be happy and you can be content about that, because this is the best that I can do. And yeah, you get to the place in your growth and your development when you become an adult to understand that, yeah, people can only do what they can only do, right? If you put your best foot forward and that's the best you can do, even though it's inadequate for me, if that's the best that you can do, I really can't be mad. But you come to that when you're fully maturated, you know what I mean? When you're fully emotionally developed, and spiritually, and mentally you come to the understanding, okay, this person did the best that they could do, right? And so since they did the best that they could do with the information that they had at the time, can I really be mad at them? Now, had they not have done their best, that I could see, you know what I mean? But even if there's some deficits, within the relationship, even if I didn't get everything that I needed, at least I know that it didn't come from a place, where they were intentionally being neglectful, you know what I'm saying, or intentionally abandoning me, or intentionally abusing me, if that was the situation. And so so we need to go into excuse me, these conversations, and I think that it will create an avenue for healing. I'm going to show some of the video. And again, I just cite fair use, fair use, fair use, public domain, fair use, public domain, because I want to share their thoughts with you so that you can have a sense of understanding. And then we can go into some type of solutions, resolutions. We can talk about reconciliation and how that can happen. This is definitely my lane, being that I am a life coach, being that I am a Christian counselor. I'm big and huge when it comes to reconciliation. I think that it's entirely possible, but people have to have the mind to want to reconcile, and they also need the skills, because I think that to Monique's credit, she never hid this from the public. I think that everybody's trying to use this as an I gotcha, aha moment, but it's not. It really isn't. Now, she may not have went into all the deets, you know what I mean? All the details surrounding the situation, probably out of respect to him and their family. But she has not only alluded to the fact that there is this breakdown in the relationship between her and her son, but she also admitted that she wasn't the best mother to him as she could be, because she had her drive, which was to pursue her career, and her absentee. She does realize that her absentee had negatively impacted him. And I guess in her mind, yes, she might have apologized, she might have framed it words, and she might have tried to explain and things of that nature. But you can't, undo what has already been done. But you can, at this point, moving forward, make a choice. And I feel that that's what she is alluding to when she talks about she did her part, but there is more that she can do. And that's what we're going to talk about when we begin to talk about the process of reconciliation. There's more. I just feel like they both have to be willing to do the work. She has to be open, of course, and he has to be open. And I think that they both could use some very thorough therapy sessions, because again, Mo went through her stuff, right? And again, none of this is hidden, none of it's secret. She's been open and vocal about her trauma. All right. She claimed in her video, we're about to watch in just a few moments, that she's cool with his dad. And also her husband is cool with his dad. So I think that the decision, not to claim him as my son, was out of respect. I don't think that it was maliciously done. I think it was out of respect for his current father, which was active and in his life. And I just think that it's more complicated. I think it's easy for us looking on the outside, looking in. It's easy to throw rocks and hide our hands, as if we don't have situations in our families where there is a disconnect, where there is people not speaking to each other, and people that are harboring unforgiveness, and there's strife and there's debate and there's all this stuff in our families. We all have them. No matter, she can, I don't mind the sweet baby stuff. I think that's her thing. She's always been that way. She's always been consistently the same. It doesn't make her a hypocrite. It makes her human. You know what I mean? And so this situation right here, I think, is a great conversation to have, because, to be truthful, it probably mirrors a lot of other people's households and a lot of other people's upbringings. They may be cordial with their loved ones or their parents or their children, but there's still this ought there. There's still this thing there where, they would, if they had to choose, they would rather not, be associated, rather not communicate, rather not talk to them because they have things that are harbored in their heart. And life is too short, that I believe. And I believe they also make a statement in the Instagram video that life is too short. Tomorrow isn't promised. So all of this back and forth, all this tit for tat, all this doing the most on social media, it's not fruitful. But I really do believe that it's sparking a greater conversation. And I my prayers are that it will also spark some motivation, especially for Monique. And this is the reason why I'm putting this more on Monique's plate. I know she put it on her son's plate because she feels as if she's done everything in her power to try to be accountable for her decisions and to try to apologize and things and try to make it right. But we're going to talk about apology languages in just a few moments. Sometimes what we do in terms of the energy that we exude and the things that we do for people to try to make it right is not acceptable to them, because just like we have love languages, we have an apology language. So there are times when we're giving love, showing love to someone, but they're not receiving it because that's not their love language. It's not that you're not putting forth the energy and the effort to show them that you care in your way, but oftentimes in those situations, you're showing that person what it is that you want, not necessarily what it is that they need, especially if they're off-putting and they don't seem to be very happy about what it is that you've given them. That is a telltale sign that you are missing it. You're missing it. There's a miscommunication, a perception. You're just simply missing it. If they're not happy and they don't seem to be content or appreciative, or maybe they are appreciative, maybe there is some level of gratitude, but you're not hitting the mark, which means is that you're not giving them what they need emotionally. And so you need to figure that out. All people, all human beings, it doesn't matter what age they are, what stage they are in life, have a love language. Our children have love languages. I know we as adults feel like you're just a child, stay in a child's place, but they're still very much human. They have a soul, they have a spirit, they have a body. Though they may be small, they still have these things that they need from people in general. You know what I mean? And so that should not be dismissed. That should not be overlooked. Or people shouldn't be made to feel like that's not important, because it is. It's very much important to you, and it should be important to them how they receive things from you in terms of love. And also, we should be intentional about giving people what it is that they want. Children or no children, adults, it doesn't matter what age and stage they are in life. If we love them, then we should be willing to figure it out, you know what I mean, and give them what they need. Communicate it, yes. And again, children may not have the language where they're able to really articulate it, or if they articulate it, it may come across as being angry. It may come across as being ungrateful. It may come across as being bratty. But what they're saying to you is that this is not what I want, mom, dad. I don't want, thank you, but no, I just want you. I don't want the stuff, right? I don't want the stuff. I just want quality time. You know what I mean? I just want quality time. I just want you to do something for me. Like, not buy me things, but I want you to do something with me. Like, those things are important to me. That's what makes me feel love. And so when you have that, and then you don't have, when I say have that, meaning you have that type of child, that's the way they receive love. But time is money for you, and you're always gone and on the road, and that child is not traveling with you, and you're not really intentional about meeting your child's needs because you have identified what the need is. If you haven't done your due diligence and you don't have the skills, then more than likely that child, no matter how close they are to you, no matter how much stuff they get, they're still going to feel abandoned. They're still going to have that emptiness because you did not give them what they need emotionally. I'm sorry, it's the truth. It's the truth. But that doesn't mean that that relationship cannot be reconciled. That's the good news. You just have to be willing to do the work. because there's a lot of work to do. And the same thing with the apology aspect. We're going to talk about that also. There's different ways, just like there's different ways of receiving love. There's 5 different types of apology languages. See, there's the expression of regret, there's a accepting of responsibility, there's making restitution, which I believe that's what he wants, and there's a genuine repenting. We'll go through the details of that, but I just want it to be understood that though I believe she did say she was sorry, she said it, he said it, everybody's on the same page with what has transpired, right? But he's not receiving it, and she's shutting down because she's feeling like she's done everything that she can possibly do. But what she's saying is that she's done everything that was within her wheelhouse. She's done everything that she knows to do. So now she needs to know what else is there for me to know that I can do. But I really do believe, since she's the mom, and she's the one that offended him, and his heart is broken, and she identified the why, so that part she's not ignorant about, she's clear. And so I think that she has to be empowered, Mo has to be empowered with the right skills to know how to go about creating an atmosphere that is safe, where they can begin the reconciliation process. But counseling, therapy is at the top of the list, for sure. For sure. For the both of them, I think together they need to go, because they need someone to help them to navigate during this process. But I think the relationship is repairable. I think that what DL said was horrible, especially being that he didn't even want the child, the illegitimate child that came out of the adultery, that he didn't even want that child to live. I think that's cringe. Like, he is in no position to be throwing rocks or shade or to be dragging anybody's situation online. Like, facts. That's why I said nobody has anything that they need to really add to this conversation, because no parenting situation is perfect. No family is perfect. I've been up and down with my kids, especially in their teenage years. I don't care how faithful and committed I was as a mom, being ever present, giving them the best that I could, and this, that, and the third. There are still breakdowns in families. There's breakdown in communication. There's things happen, because that's life. But what do? You work through it. You're still committed and devoted to the family. You're still committed and devoted to the relationship, no matter how many breakdowns you may have. There's always an opportunity for a breakthrough, but you got to be a praying person. No shade to nobody, but you got to pray to the creator, which made the universe. That part I do agree with the son. You got to pray to the creator that made everybody, right? And the universe. Come on, somebody. You need that strength, because you need some guidance outside of yourself in order to make this right. So let me get off my soapbox for just a few moments. I'm going to share the son first. God bless him. Is it Shalon? Very beautiful name, by the way. God bless you. Again, this is fair use, public domain. I'm going to share his TikTok. I wanted to get it. I didn't want to share anybody else's platform because for fear, but fair use, again, public domain. I just want to share this again for educational purposes, because I really do believe that, again, you can fast forward the commentary, but I think the commentary is rich because we need to put things in context. I don't think she was hiding this. I don't think that she's a hypocrite. I don't think that she needs to stop calling people sweet babies. No, continue to be authentically you, Monique. But I want to empower you. You're not a bad mother. I think you did the best that you could with the information and the resources that you had at the time. What you tried to do was make up for the lost time through the gifts. You try to, again, use that as a means, you know what I mean, as an olive branch for the times that you couldn't make it to this or make it to that, or all these special things that you missed, milestones and such. You try to make up for it. That's where the guilt comes in. Right. And I understand that as a mother. I think that, no matter how perfect we try to be, I'm sure that there's something that we missed, moments of opportunities that were there that we didn't seize. Our children maybe remember some things like, oh, yeah, I remember that time when, and you Again, that wasn't in your purview. You were focused on paying the bills. You were focused on trying to be in a relationship with somebody else, and you had other kids and other stuff going on. You had your job and your career and your traveling. It's like, again, sometimes our children have to become adults and parents to really understand the dynamic, that is parenting, that there's no way you can be perfect in it, because life isn't perfect. But what you can be is intentional. You can make the wrong right. You can try to do your due diligence to kind of hold the family together and cement that thing with love and honesty. You can do the best that you can to heal the relationship, that part. And then going forward, you can rebuild something beautiful. I believe that for them, and I'm desiring that from them. All right, so let's go ahead and start with her son. All right, so I'm gonna have to stop and go. I do apologize, but it is what it is. Okay, let's go.
Hi, I am Shalon. I am a stand-up comedian, Monique's oldest son. Um, I guess I felt the need to make this video to just provide some context into this false narrative about her praying to the universe in order to reconcile our relationship or whatever the hell it is. I wrote it all down so that way I don't go all over the place and get emotional or anything like that. So I'm gonna talk like I'm reading a script, but it's just gonna help me kind of stay together. But to address the Club Shay Shay interview that she did, where she states that she prays to the universe in regards to reconciling our relationship, as I stated, is odd. My mother and I both know that that is a very false narrative, and I would like to free her of having to continue telling that lie. Faith without work is dead, and neither one of us cares to put forth any effort to reconcile with the other. We are separate, as she put it, because she doesn't care to be my mother any more than I care to be her son. Neither one of us has had the desire to reach out to the other in a very long time, and I don't think that either of us anticipates that feeling ever returning. Speaking with my mother directly, in my experience, will either lead to some odd newfound moment of clarity in regards to how she was as my mother, or she retreats back to daddy to move forward with a conversation. And I'm tired of hearing my mother's truths. Newsflash, I'm not sure if people know, but standing in your truth doesn't make you noble. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. But responding this way, I feel as though it allows me to say my piece uninterrupted. To those wondering, well, why say something now? Call it a form of therapy for me, I suppose. But when her daddy had intentionally stated that they have 3 sons, but his wife is on the internet talking about the 4th son in a video that has millions of views, that rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, to inform a child that you are not interested in being a mother at a time when that kid is the only kid that has the potential to lead a child to believe that you are not interested in them specifically. But to take it a step further, you also admit, my mother had also admitted to me that she didn't do the best job that she could do, which would also make one begin to question, all of your past decisions and prior emotional interactions. But to be completely honest and fair, those were things that I was willing to get over. Nobody's perfect, we're all human. But my mother showed a clear lack of humility, compassion, and consideration when taking any level of accountability for those things. My mother does a fantastic job of acknowledging a lot of things, but she doesn't take accountability very well, and anything that she may take true accountability for, it's only at her convenience, in my experience. But if I had to guess, though, her interest in being a mother probably started around the time that she married her daddy and had his children. But that interest, obviously seemed one-sided, and as it should have been. By that time, I'm in my late teens, so to some degree, the the neglect becomes easier to hide or validate, I guess you could say. There are now 2 baby boys in the house, that require attention. But still, during that time, however, I still watched her enjoy the love and admiration of total strangers more than my own. To this very day, my mother has never expressed to me when, if ever, she became interested in me as her son. That did lead me down a path of questioning my self worth and struggling to understand the value of a mother in a child's life. In the interview, she also states that she gave me an apology, but an apology to a son from a mother that consciously showed no interest in him holds no weight.
So let's just stop it there. Very interesting. Very interesting. A lot of what he said, yes, she did apologize, but he's saying that it holds no weight to him. Again, speaking to that, the need of a certain type of apology. She admitted the fact that she neglected him, right? Wasn't intentional, but she did it and neglect him because she was pursuing her career at the same time. Does it make it right? No, it doesn't, because those are years and moments, obviously, that affected him severely. I mean, it's clear that he is in pain. It's clear that he is crying out for help. It's even clear that he's still desiring, no matter how much he's saying the words, you can't really listen to the words. You have to look at his action. And if a person doesn't care, they wouldn't devote 9 minutes or so plus of their time speaking on a situation that they don't care about. You don't devote energy and time and effort towards something that you don't care about. So, yes, though his words are saying this, the truth of the matter is that he does care, because if he didn't care, it wouldn't hurt so much. You know what I mean? If he didn't care, he wouldn't, be even having this conversation in the first place. So, with that being said, I think that that's a cloak and a wall that he puts up, which is rightly so, to be honest. It's to be expected. The mere fact that he's hurt, so yeah, he's guarded. He's guarded from her. He's guarded from the world. It's almost like when I look at my children sometimes, and how children grow up in certain communities where it's like the community. It's almost like the community has a relationship with your parent, and you're on the outside looking in. Whether you are a PK kid, or whether you're a pastor's kid or something like that, you have the church loving on your parent, and appreciating your parent and eating off their every word, and you see your parent going out of their way, appeasing and pleasing other people. But when it comes to your needs, you're like the last on the totem pole. So I think that, let's be honest, a lot of us can relate to what it is that he's saying as a child, as a daughter, as a son, that there were moments when our parents chose something other than us, and it hurt us in a deep way. Where it was, if you're a daughter or son and you're into sports and you played well, and when you looked up in the stands, you heard everybody else's parents screaming out their child's name, but your parent was nowhere to be found. That made an imprint upon you. You know what I'm saying? Mentally, emotionally, it made an imprint, and it broke your heart. And then those instances, those moments, they begin to multiply, and your heart begins to break even the more. But, and however, I'm going to play Monique's, also her take on this, and to give her side of it. I don't want to play all of it because I don't want this to be extremely long, but you can definitely go to TikTok and take a listen to it, because it's 9 minutes. I think I played about 3 minutes of the 9 minutes, so there's 6 more minutes of that. I did listen to the whole thing initially, but I just don't want my channel flagged, because again, fair use, public domain. We just wanted to say that before we play the next one, because this is indeed a learning curve for all of us. We can all grow and learn from this. And I don't think Monique needs to be ashamed of anything. I don't. I feel like she did the best that she could with the information that she had. I mean, and let's be clear, she went through a lot of trauma growing up herself. So she, just like she admitted, like her best friend became her husband. He had to help her grow up because there was some immaturity there. So there are justifications for her not being able to be there for him, whether it's physically or whether it's emotionally. You know what I'm saying? There are justifications because she wasn't present for herself. Let's be clear, she wasn't, because of the trauma that she experienced. So, like I forestated, this is reconcilable. This can be reconciled. They just have to want to do the work. I just hear Iyanla's voice. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you got to be willing to do your own work. They both have to be willing to do the work. And I feel like, yes, the part I do agree with is Monique has to take the lead. We'll talk about love languages in just a moment and apology languages in just a moment. But let's go ahead and hear from Monique again. I feel like, we should hear her side of the story as well. All right. So are you ready? Let's go.
Okay. We got it. All right, we're gonna wait for some of the babies to come in the room.
Fair use, fair use. Well,
So we can
domain,
have this conversation.
learning purposes. Let me see if there's a way to explain this.
You would do that right now. Hey, babies.
Hey, hey.
We just wait for y'all to come on in the room so we can have this conversation with our community.
There's no way for me to ask for this. Sorry.
What is that? Oh, we could. Let's rock and roll, baby.
Let's rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
The title of our conversation, or the theme of it, is called The Long Way Around.
What I'll do is I'll mute some of it. How about that? All right. So, yes, they're going to be talking about it. And again, I think this video is about.
Consider yourself an intellect. And please forgive me for speaking in this manner as it relates to Monique. They act and they take on different things. The reason why I was so.
Okay, so let me do it on my phone because I can do it that way. Seems like I can't do it on my computer. Hold on.
And you have the vehicle you're driving right now because of your mother.
All right, let me see if I can try to rewind it a little bit more. Oops.
Yeah, like I don't understand what we're doing at all. It's just waltzing down, like, okay.
Press
If I can just.
the relationship that you have with your father, where you spoke ill to him.
Okay, it
Say
won't let
stop playing because this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So
hold on, you guys. Let me start over again because there's certain parts of this I want you to see. Oh, yeah.
we got it. All right, we're gonna wait for some of the babies to come in the room.
Let's just mute some of that because I'm trying to get it on my phone, but it won't. It won't. Oh, there it is. Okay, I think I got it.
All right, we're gonna wait for some of the babies. Hey, babies.
Hey, hey.
We just wait for y'all to come on in the room.
All right, so while we wait for them to come into the room, amen. Let's just wait and see.
The title of our conversation, or the theme of it, is called The Long Way Around, because ain't no shortcuts. Pickles.
Okay, I think there's that cat they're talking to.
The reason we're having it is a multitude of
Sorry, y'all.
reasons, but we're going to start off with, there was a Instagram that was put up, or I guess
It was TikTok.
It was TikTok.
was put up by
My son, my oldest son, Shalon. And this is what I want to say to this. There are some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is what I'll say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that...
I don't think so. I don't think she should be ashamed of anything. Because we all have been guilty of something, and she's acknowledged that she's made the mistakes. She just don't know how to repair it. She doesn't know what to do.
Hey, her daddy. Then that's when mommy gonna say stop playing, because this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So for you to say her 3 sons, yes, you're absolutely right. He has 3 sons. He can't claim you as his son because he's always been Uncle Sid, and he knows your daddy very well.
and love that brother. And the irony of all of this is
not what is said, but what's.
Okay, so let's pause right there. So I'm gonna have to just go back, guys, just so bear with me. I think what the issue is the fact that the relationships that were pre-established before he came into this world, which was the friendship that she had and still has. She has the friendship with her husband, but they were really close. They were best friends. Okay, they were really close. And so when her son came into the world, obviously he has a different dad, right? When he came into the world, he became his uncle. Now I know that, he became his uncle. And I think he said, he even admitted it was around maybe his teenage years when they got married. So again, she's doing what she's doing, building her career, trying to provide a life for her family. She has this friendship. He's present. And also, based upon the conversation that they're having, the dad was present as well. Okay. So his father was present in his life. And I think that, right or wrong, I feel like that Monique's husband did not want to step on his toes by assuming the role of father. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but this is how I'm interpreting what they're saying. They didn't want to step on his toes by taking on the role as a father. That's with any family dynamic, that you have this mixed blended family situation. That is often a situation that is very delicate, because you have, like, for me, I already have children. I was married before. Like, my children have a relationship with their father, good, bad, or indifferent. They have an established relationship. They have a father. They call father, he calls them sons. If I get married again, that person should not come in and assume the role as father, unless that's what the child wants, because there's a deficit or they don't have a relationship with the dad, right? So in that situation, then it can be understood why the uncle was once uncle, then now transitioned to being stepdad, now wants to assume the role as father, because there is no father in place. And now you're filling in the gap. But if the father was there the whole time, and just like he stated, if he had a relationship, they are super cool, they love each other, everybody's cool, then I can understand why he can be kind of, not standoffish, but he can take a back seat when it comes to fathering him. You know what I mean? Shalon, because he already has a father. And so he did not deliberately, intentionally not father him and didn't care about him or his well-being. I think that he was put in a situation that is complicated. You know what I mean? Now, again, because children don't often have the language, right? That, so he's now seeing mom, now be in this marriage, and they're building this family together. Of course, he feels like a third wheel. Of course, he feels like the black sheep, because he never saw his mother with his father in that type of situation, and in that dynamic, such as marriage. So he was always without the house. You know what I mean? And again, I don't know what kind of relationship that he has with his natural father, but it seems like to me that there's also a breakdown there as well, because that's what happens. Hurt people, broken people break relationships. They cannot be in a sustainable relationship because they don't have the tools. So I see their point, and I'm going to start this just a little bit again, just to kind of, let me just go in and out again. Yeah, it's complicated. But that part, I think that only they can really speak to that and explain why he never assumed the role as father. Sydney, that he never assumed the role as father, because the natural father was there, and they had that dynamic where they all tried to be what they felt they needed to be, but obviously it wasn't sufficient for the son. Okay. And that's okay. And I think that everybody has to get to the point and get to the place to say, this is how you feel. I respect it. I don't reject it because those are your feelings, right? Just like I feel the way that I feel, it should be respected and not rejected. You feel the way you feel. We receive that. That's your perspective, okay? You may not have known the why and the dynamic. That's why I said it's so crucial. It's so important for the reconciliation and for the healing process is there to be good communication, not speaking at, but let's speak together with each other. Let's communicate. Let's listen and then add to the conversation. Let's listen to each other. Let's hear each other out. You know what I'm saying? Let's be given the opportunity to share our heart without you being offended and you shutting me down for what it is that I feel or believe and vice versa. Let's hear each other out and then we can disseminate. We can figure out why it is that we feel the way we feel, that we can get to the bottom of it. But at the end of the day, when you don't have the right kind of communication skills to be able to bring about reconciliation, then you need a mediator. Yeah, that's why I say they need counseling, they need therapy. And I really hope and pray that Monique takes the initiative or somebody reaches out to say, hey, you know what? I'm willing to do this counseling session for you guys because I think that is absolutely crucial and it's needed. Not just one and done. You both have to be committed to ongoing counseling, because it is possible that the reconciliation can be done. All right.
We got it. All right, we're going to wait for some of the babies to come in the room so we can have this conversation.
All right, so we're just going to like I said, I'm going to try to get past the parts.
You love folks, you tell them.
All right. I know I have my phone going on in the background as well, so I don't think she's lying.
Come on in the room.
I don't think that
so we can have this conversation with our community.
She's been open and honest about what it is from the moment that she had an opportunity.
Let's rock and roll, baby.
Let's rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
The title of our conversation, or the theme of it, is called The Long Way Around.
I wish I could.
Because ain't no shortcuts. Pickles, stop playing with that paper, please.
That's the cat.
The reason we're having it is a multitude of reasons, but we're going to start off with, there was a Instagram that was put up, or I guess
it was TikTok, baby.
TikTok that was put up by
my son, my oldest son, Shalon. And this is what I want to say to this. There are some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills.
And they're wrong.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
And they're wrong.
This is what I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that said to me, I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we'll watch this play out. And I do want to address this though, Shalon. When you say her daddy, then that's when mommy gonna say stop playing, because you know this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So for you to say her 3 sons, yes, you're absolutely right. He has 3 sons. He can't claim you as his son because he's always been Uncle Sid, and he knows your daddy very well.
And love that brother. And the irony of all of this is not what is said, but what's left off.
Yes.
See, you're leaving off the fact that the last time we laid eyes on you, your mother got you everything you needed for the newborn baby.
Okay, so now they're talking about the gifts. Now, again, obviously, based on his conversation, based on the things that they're also articulating in this, and feel free to go to the Real Mo Worldwide. Go to her page on Instagram. This is from Instagram, to kind of hear this for yourself, because I'm trying to skip through the moments just for the sake of, I don't want the video to be flagged and taken down. All right. So they're talking about the things that they did, right, for him in his adulthood. And obviously things they did in his early childhood days, I'm sure, as well. But it's clear that that's not what he needed to fulfill that emotional space and void.
You have with your father where you spoke ill to him, not to mention spoke ill to your mother, but somehow your mother and father and I all have a loving relationship and communicate back and forth because of the love that we have for you. The one thing these individuals, and to the individuals out here that oftentimes speak after they've heard one side of the story, there's an old saying: believe half of what you see and none of what it is that you hear. Please don't take our word for it, but what we will convey is this: those who are parents and have raised their parents up to being adults.
Your children. Raise their children up to be an adult.
Right on. Those who are parents that raise their children into adulthood know that there comes a time and a place in which they determine their own decisions, their own path. You can have multiple children that are raised in one house, but they act and they take on different things. The reason why it was so important for us to entertain these conversations that we typically have privately, or that we're influenced to have privately amongst the people in our community, is because we need to stop being embarrassed about being human beings and about being Black human beings. You will oftentimes hear us saying we are embarrassing ourselves in front of them. Who is them?
Who are they?
Because when you hear someone articulate these things, that is the slave's mentality.
Now that part I agree with. I do agree with that. And I'm gonna stop the share there because listen, it's not just a Black thing. It's not. Now that's not to say that Black people in America, that's not to say that we haven't been through some extremely traumatic things as a community, as a unit, because of slavery. We have. And there are some dynamics that we have within our community that maybe other communities don't have because of that post-traumatic slave syndrome. That's a whole nother issue and conversation for another day. But I do agree. Who are we trying to impress by trying to appear as if, as a community, that we're perfect, when nobody on the planet, doesn't matter what race you are, nationality, creed, ethnicity, there's no one perfect. There's no perfect family. The things that they're going to be talking about, and like I said, feel free to go to her Instagram so that you can watch the whole thing. Feel free to go to her son's, Shalon's TikTok, and also go watch his in its entirety. The things that they're talking about I think most human beings can relate to it. And if we're honest, we have some of that dynamic in most of our families, if not all of our families. So let's be clear. No, I don't feel like that we should put up a front or a face. Enough with that. What honestly, what has that done for us? To have this appearance of perfection, or this appearance as if everything is cool, or this appearance as if everything is good. And what's that? It's just that these things are not honest and truthful. I don't believe that Monique is being hypocritical when she says my sweet babies. I think she's being authentically herself. I just think that she, just like everybody else, has challenges and problems. And she's always made it clear that she has some trauma that she went through, that she had to go through. And it has taken her time, and she's still having to work through some stuff. So let's present this, right? Again, the love language. Let's talk about that first. These are some of the things that we as parents need to get through our thick skulls. We need to understand that our children also have love languages, just like we have love languages. And it doesn't have to be anything sexual either. There's just an emotional thing that we need as people. And in order to feel loved by somebody, whether it's words of affirmation, acts of services, physical touch, quality time, even gifts. Animals need physical touch in order to thrive. Plants need some type of attention and words of affirmation in order to thrive. Human living things need affirmations and some of the things that is listed here in order to thrive, in order to be healthy. And so I don't think the gifts was his thing. You know what I mean? He needed the quality time. Maybe he needed more hugs and loves and kisses. Maybe he needed some things that was done, especially just for him and him alone. I believe she's good at affirming. I believe she's good because I think that's naturally her in terms of the affirmations. But if you're missing, and I need you physically, or just again, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. So even if I'm gone for weeks on end, it's about when I get back, I'm going to be intentional about spending time with you and you alone. But again, you have to have a certain level of EQ, of emotional intelligence, in order to even understand that, which most people don't even have. Let's be clear. So, no, this is not to her shame at all. She shouldn't be ashamed of herself. She did the best. I believe she did the best that she could. I really do. And she tried articulating that to her son, but he won't receive it because let's go to the apology languages, right? Now, we all receive an apology differently. So let me go there so that we can pull that up. Let's go to the images and see if we can find a really good image for the apology language. All right, so here we go. This is a really good one here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me just make sure. Let's see if that's the right image. Yep, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about it. Now, here's the apology. They said that there's 5 types of apology languages that we could use to try to reconcile ourselves back to the people that we love. And so here are the 5 expressions. The first would be the expression of regret. Okay, starting with the phrase, I apologize. um okay, so from there, it's just not necessarily, you don't stop there, right? You got to dig deeper and apologize for what, right? So being specific is involved in that process, but some people just need to hear the word, right? For some, but not all. So she told him, he heard from her, he admitted that, right? That she said that she apologized, but that wasn't sufficient. So that's obviously not his language. And so we have number 2. Let's see if number 2 is his language. Accepting responsibility, again, for the wrong that was done. I was wrong. Maybe she didn't say that. Maybe she did say that. We don't know what was said during those moments. And then oftentimes, if you're hurt, it generally gets heated because we have emotions that are also connected to our hurt and pain, like anger, like frustration, hallelujah, like what else? Other else. We have emotions that's connected to the feeling of hurt. So sometimes it's hard to even get to that place where we can say what needs to be said because the person is just simply not receptive because of the emotional component. And then they don't have the skills to manage their emotions. And so, it just goes from bad to worse. But when you have a skilled therapist or a counselor that can help you to navigate through these things, you guys can hear each other out and learn how to communicate effectively. Okay, so that's the part. The mere fact that you're accepting accountability and responsibility by saying, hey, listen, I was wrong. I was wrong by leaving you alone for the times I left you alone. And then when I came back in the city, I didn't make time for you. Maybe he needs to hear that. Maybe that's a part of his just accepting. He mentioned you don't accept accountability. So maybe the admitting of wrong, but not accepting accountability part, maybe that's not being articulated in the manner by which he can accept it. The other part is making restitution. Now, I really do believe that that's what he needs. He needs the restitution. And this is how that's framed. What can I do to make it right? I was not the best mother to you. I put my career in front of you. I was wrong for that. A lot of years was lost. I became a better mother after I got healed and dealt with my issues because I was traumatized as a child. I was not fully present even in my adulthood when you came into the world. I admit that. I didn't have the skills to be a mother. I didn't have enough capacity in my heart to be a mother. Baby, I'm so sorry. How can I make it right? Pause. Let that person speak. I feel that number 3 is what he needs for her to do. That's why I said Monique has to lead in this, because Monique is the one that made the choices, right or wrong. She's the one that made the choice. She's the one that's got to lead in fixing this. Does he have a part? Absolutely. He's got to eventually forgive her. He's got to articulate what it is that she can do to make it right. And he has to be a participant in this process, just like she has to be a participant in this process. Number 4, genuinely repenting, in this manner. Let's go with the phrase, I'll try not to do it again. So yes, and you can incorporate all these things. I say, hey, just hit them all, so that if you don't know and you're not clear, just hit them all. Apologize, admit you're wrong, try to make it right, huh? And then don't do it again. Now let's going forward. You can have me time, you and me time. You want to do something together, just us and us alone, no kids, no husband, no girlfriends, no grandbabies. It's just me and you hanging out, doing whatever, our time. I just want to make you feel special, baby. You my son, you my heart, you know what I mean? Make it right, and then don't do it again. Don't make him feel like he's not important. Make space for him, whatever it takes. Try to make it right. Number 5, requesting forgiveness. And that can be the final piece on top of the doing. Like you said, the works. I don't know if we got to that part, but there's something he talked about, faith without works. I think what he's, again, missing is the restitution. But number 5 is requesting forgiveness. Will you please forgive me? I feel like that if she goes through all of those steps, I believe she'll hit the mark. And I think that they'll be on track for restoration and reconciliation and healing. So my prayers are for Mo, and it's for her son, Shalon. Very beautiful name, by the way. And the family. I just think that this is just something that eventually had to happen. And now that she's getting a lot of momentum and attention, I think that he decided this time to make himself known, because he was discussed openly and he wants his side of the story to be heard, because he does have a side. You know what I mean? And I feel like all of this is beautiful, and it will be made beautiful in time. I really do. And I feel like that oftentimes it takes this in order for us to get to that, right? To that place of healing. It takes the raw honesty. It takes the disclosure. It takes the openness. It takes the taking the Band-Aid off the, you know what I mean? Off the cut, in order for it to breathe, right? To be exposed so that it can heal. I think some of us have put Band-Aids on our situations, Band-Aids on our circumstances, in hopes that it would heal. But it's time to remove the Band-Aid and to expose it to the air and to expose it to the light so that it can be healed. Now, is my life perfect? No. Absolutely not. But am I intentional about trying to fix things? For sure. And I will forever be intentional of trying to fix it, because that's the least that I can do, because I have a responsibility to my children all the days of my life, just like they have a responsibility to me as my children. We all have a responsibility to care for each other, to love each other, to make space for each other, to support. That's what community is about. That's what families are all about. Right. And it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. And so we can't give up on each other. All right. So if nothing else, take that away. Yes, there is space and there's room for healing and reconciliation. It is possible. It is in the realm of possibility. I believe that for them. I hope that somebody prominent, because they probably ain't gonna come to me, but I hope that somebody prominent would reach out and offer that, as an olive branch to counsel them, because I believe that will be helpful. Them getting the tools that they need to repair this relationship. It is readily available, just like I clearly outlined. They just need the right kind of connection, the right type of support, and it can happen for them. That's what we're praying for. All right. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to the broadcast. I appreciate you. Let's go ahead and shut this down and that down and this down and that down. I appreciate you joining in and taking a peek at what we're doing. Don't forget to like, comment if you like. Everybody's got their opinions. I was looking at some of the Instagram comments. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with what they're saying. I felt like they did the best that they could do with the information that they had at the time. Hindsight being 2020, it's easy to tell people, you should have did this, you should have did that. We can't erase the past, but what can we do today moving forward? You know what I'm saying? What's the point of bashing that woman? We don't have all the facts. You know what I mean? We don't have all the facts. And so therefore, I don't think it's our place to judge her in that way. I really don't, especially when we don't have all the facts. Now, if we had all the facts, then that's different. We can perhaps judge it if we have the facts, but we don't. And so I think that that's hypocritical of us, because more than likely, a lot of us are living in glass houses. A lot of us, right? We're not in a place where we either harboring unforgiveness for our parents, and or we're a parent and our children are harboring unforgiveness against us. Like, seriously. And so let's just give people grace. Let's just give people grace. I think this is all good. I think this is going to help a lot of people, including this family. I love everybody. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Let me get out of here. I don't want to make this too long, but it is what it is. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me. We're coming back again soon. I'm going to do another one. We're going to talk about what else is out there, and deal with some of these issues and concerns. Until next time, blessings and peace and love. Bye.